Hey, what's up everybody? Anubis Black here. It's a new week and that means it's time for a new game review. And today, I'm going to be talking about a PS1 game. Well, actually two PS1 games that just so happen to be based around one of Nickelodeon's earliest and most memorable cartoons. And I can already say that unlike the last few action platformers that I've discussed here recently, these two Rugrats titles are not exactly what I was expecting from a gameplay standpoint. When I streamed these two games in the last few months, it was my first time ever playing either, so it was a completely new experience that had me pleasantly surprised and a little bit confused. Honestly, I'm not sure what I was expecting. I guess you could say that Rugrats Search for Reptar and Rugrats Studio Tour are not your run-of-the-mill cartoon licensed games. Admittedly, they are quite unique in their own way, while still maintaining the general style and feel of the source material. So, without further delay, let's just hop right into the first game, Search for Reptar, so I can better explain what I mean. Rugrats Search for Reptar released in America on Halloween of 1998, developed by a company I've never heard of called In Space, and published by good old THQ as per usual. And from the jump, starting up this game already feels like a typical episode of the actual TV show, with an in-engine recreation of the theme song, as well as carrying over various familiar tunes from the original soundtrack, which is pretty cool in my opinion. Not only that, but the basic story and voice acting is top-notch too. No matter how I feel about the gameplay itself, I can admire that extra little bit of effort to immerse the player in the world, even if the graphics are kind of janky for what we have here. But yeah, the game opens up with Tommy and the other babies attempting to put together a Reptar puzzle, and they get upset when they realize that most of the pieces are missing and scattered around the house. So, logically, they all band together to find the pieces by exploring all the rooms of the house while playing mini games? Huh? Okay, remember how I said the game is unique in its own way? Well, this is what I meant. Basically, Search for Reptar is a collect-a-thon / minigame compilation where you run about in the Pickle's home and find almost all the pieces of the puzzle and something else called Reptar bars. I'm not really sure what the heck they're supposed to be, but just know they are necessary to beat the game. Yeah, I know it's a very, very simple premise, but honestly that's okay because I definitely wasn't expecting anything complex from the story of a freaking Rugrats game. Also, the reason I said you have to collect almost all the pieces is because from my own experience, you can actually kinda cheat with the Reptar bars and cheese your way to finishing the puzzle without actually completing all the minigames, so yeah. Each room of the house contains a different minigame or two, and they all have a specific difficulty level ranging from easy, medium, and hard. And there are a wide variety of things to do in these minigames, like hide and go seek, racing, golfing, target shooting, obstacle courses, running on the house upside down, etc., etc. And each minigame starts with a new cutscene that sets up what you'll be doing in that particular level, so that's also a nice little detail that I like to see. In terms of controls though, I guess the game is kinda like a platformer sometimes. You do have to physically run to each room to start a new minigame, and sometimes the characters will interact with objects in the environment and say a little quote every now and then.
Popcorn! I never could have find them. This is Grandpa's room. I'm busting out of here! Maybe we should find a nice game to play inside. What was I thinking?
This place is stranger and friction.
Why can't I just find my glasses?
And even though the game does make you feel like a little itty bitty baby running around a big house, it is kind of annoying to climb up or down the stairs, and it's even more annoying when you constantly bump into a wall or something that stops your movement completely. Trust me, this happened way more times than I'd like to admit. Regardless, all of the minigames control okay, I guess. It's not terrible and it's not amazing either. Some fare better than others, of course, and even the hardest difficulty in the game is a walk in the park to complete. So, for a video game based around the Rugrats, Search for Reptar is serviceable. I don't necessarily want to play it again anytime soon, but I suppose it could have been a lot worse. Now, before I move on to the sequel, Studio Tour, I want to clarify that both of these games are basically cut from the exact same cloth. The only major difference between them is the setting and what you'll be collecting, so just keep that in mind. Okay, now, Rugrats Studio Tour released the very next year on November 10th, 1999, and was developed again by InSpace and published by, well, who do you think?
I don't know.
But yeah, like I said, Studio Tour is more or less the same as its predecessor. However, this time the babies will be exploring a movie studio, and they get wrapped up in their usual shenanigans when Dill finds himself locked behind a security door. So now, the babies have to collect a ridiculous amount of keys to open the metal security door and rescue him. And as you should all know by now, this game pretty much recycles a lot of the mini-games and other elements from Search for Reptar, and despite this being a sequel, it didn't really improve upon anything mechanically, not that I really expected it to. Thankfully, the little intro cutscenes do make a return, which I appreciate, and something else that's pretty cool is now the babies will wear unique outfits based around whichever studio they enter, which is a nice little detail once again. The game features about 5 different movie sets with a few mini games inside, ranging from cowboy western, pirates, and space for example. And even though there are some returning games like Target Practice and Mini Golf, you can tell they really like that one, there is still a sprinkle of new stuff like tag, treasure hunts, rounding up farm animals, and even an Indiana Jones style obstacle segment towards the end. Most of the time, the controls for these games are still not great by any means, but I did kinda enjoy this title just a wee bit more than the previous. The voice acting and music make the whole experience a lot more tolerable to get through, and keep in mind, both of these games are a solid 5 to 6 out of 10 in terms of overall quality, and at the very least, they are slightly better than the third attempt at this kind of game with Rugrats in Paris, which I'm not going to talk about, at least not now or really anytime soon. Alright then, we are drawing ever closer and closer to the end of my current Nicktoons Games review series, and for the next week, I will be talking about Rocket Power Dream Scheme and Rocket Power Beach Bandits on Game Boy Advance. Thanks for watching yet another episode of Anubis Black Games. Have a wonderful day, and I'll see you guys again in the next one. Alright, bye-bye.